Thank you. Tim, I really enjoyed your trash. I really enjoyed your trash. If by trash you mean clever, funny poems, which are not easy to write. I can't write them. And they're also fun, which is another reason to write them as well, is that they pay well. So this first one is called, wrong poem. This first one is called, going back to the kind of realm of myths and things that we're in earlier, Medusa was a siren. I learned to sing a long time ago, well and unaccompanied except for my sisters. I don't like to boast, but we are the most accomplished non-professional a cappella group you'll meet on this coast. I've always looked exactly how I meant to. Covered up my spots, dotted on blush, blotted lipstick on my sticky lips and clotted cream foundation into the seams of my skin. I starved myself thin, turned my flesh into a fashion statement coat, coating my bones, my throat soaked in scent that men are meant to like. I changed my figure in the 50s, adding some padding, supposedly maddening curves, that I sliced off again 10 years later. Lighter, makeup brighter, hair loose and long, strong cheekbones and the pastel tones of the swinging 60s. See, I'm pretty special at being especially pretty. I squish myself into whatever shape is shapely at the time. I wish myself to have whatever face is deemed sublime. I twist myself into the image they imagine in their sleep. I can make grown men weep, weak at the knees when they see this unnaturally natural beauty, this living blow-up doll, wholly perfect, whose holes actually get wet, who blends whatever way they desire, mouth sucking, hot as a fire, this walking work of uncropped Photoshop, this hot thing that sings whatever song they've learned to long for. They throng to the shore of this little island of mine, and they find exactly what they want to find. And yet guess how I'm rewarded for playing my role. They actually say that I eat men's souls. Last I heard, I was half bird. My sisters and I, a murderous herd of monstrous whores, sinking our claws into scores of unsuspecting men, gorging on their gore before luring yet more into our den. They come here of their own free will, you know. No coercion, no magic music, but whether they choose to go or stay, they prefer to say we made them that way. They like to paint their own laziness in dealing with their feelings as some kind of power on our parts. Truth is, I didn't want to give you anything but love, baby. But maybe you couldn't quite handle that. Maybe the fact of everything you wanted coming real was more than you could deal with. One of my sisters couldn't hack it anymore, swam ashore to the mainland and planned to vanish. She stopped wearing makeup or looking at her face, started to take up a little more space, sat how she wanted and ate what she pleased, didn't squeeze herself into each decade's passing fads, discovered vibrators, gave up men for good in fact, abandoned the scripts of her tainted relations and tended to only her own expectations. But she's finding she still can't shake off the frustrations. Rumours are spouting in tabloids and tales of a different monster from us in our fishtails. They looked at her dreads and saw hair made of snakes, and she's heard herself that her stare can stake you still at 20 paces. So yeah, my ex-siren sister's doing great on her own, though apparently now she turns men into stone. And seeing as there's obviously no way to win, I'm thinking I might just pack all of this in and set off myself and do something else, and see what new myths they attach to my whims. A box full of evils, an apple of sin. Thanks. This is called High. Shh. The lighter hisses like a rattlesnake, flares into flame, a tiny sun to melt the Pritt stick off your wings. You're close enough to touch, you think, swiping your finger through the blade of heat quick enough that it doesn't cut. Always been a bit of a pyromaniac, haven't you? I remember you at school, burning bits of paper, curling brown and crumbling between your fingertips. I can't tell why you like fire, why you like flapping around up there in the dangerous heat. What force pulls you up towards that furnace in the sky? Is it really because it sucks you in, like a moth to a neon light, tugging you into a burning brightness like the gates of heaven opening, then zap, the fizzle of frying insect? Or is it just part of your whole wing thing you've got going on? Acting as bird-like as you can, a conscious bid to show us all you're free. Or perhaps you're just curious as to how high you can fly, or what the world looks like from up there in the sky. What I do know is that the concrete's hard, and the white spots you can just make out are chewing gum, not stars. And when your wings dissolve and you drop fast like a falcon with no brakes, your brains will splatter out across it and your bones will turn to milkshake. And if I stand beneath you with my arms spread open wide, and you plummet downwards like a comet through the sky, I know I can't exactly catch you. I'll just get smashed into the concrete too. I should have grabbed your foot before you ever went so high. I wish you could have found a reason not to need to fly. Thank you. This is called exclamation mark. You always had the brightest nails, hard drops of paint pulled at your peripheries like dots at the bottom of the exclamation marks of your liquid limbs. No dull full stops for you. For you, the place your body or your sentence ended was more a place of laughter, more about what comes before than the empty space of after. You used to wave your hands about a lot. Rainbow punctuation, almost as raucous as you were. I was thankful that they left your nails blank. No pop of primary colour to anoint your finite fingers' finish, or its start. An exclamation point lacks point without an exclamation it can mark. So this is the last one I'm going to do today. This is, names aren't really my strong point, but I've called it thank you. I think, there's probably many names that I've worked through for this poem, but yeah, thank you. Thank you for not saying I love you, ever. Thank you for being a man who clearly plans to keep avoiding that little phrase, who keeps finding ways to somehow say everything but that. I doff my hat to your skill, because it must take some will to keep skirting it still, and to deftly evade any moment I've made where the expectation of that little expression somehow pervades the space between our faces, remaining unplayed, unweighed, unokayed. Thank you for avoiding those three little words. Because I know it's absurd, but they scare the shit out of me. And I'm so grateful to you for being someone who actually listened to me when I said I wanted to take things slowly, for trusting that I was telling the truth when I struggled to say that I really like you, but I'm scared of commitment, for taking my word when I said I want to make this work, but can we just rework some of the words we use, the language we choose, because absurd though it may be, some of it freaks me out. Thank you for believing me when I said not to take it personally. It's genuinely just me, you see. And a question of semantics, which I know is pedantic, but my fear of the idea of the romantic is real. And the fact that you feel willing to deal with that, well, perhaps that's what actually is romantic. And it's not that I'm scared of emotion. It might be to do with the notion of devotion, the promotion inherent in the language we use about love, of a story that might not suit all of us. A narrative a whole culture, a structure, a scripture, a set-in-stone picture of how this should be. But me? I'm not the main character in a rom-com, but that doesn't mean that I'm doing it wrong. And you know, affection is not a delusion of perfection or a deflection of faith into worshipping another person, putting them up on a pedestal which in making them more than me immortal polices their flaws and somehow also makes them less than human. Maybe it's partly just that cliche makes me cringe, which I can see is ironic in a person who actually writes sonnets. And the reason I squirm at the term girlfriend or boyfriend is more about the prefix my, because I can't see why relationships have to be writs of ownership. So you see, I have a number of mental blocks. When it comes to the boxes our words try to pigeonhole the whole of the human soul into, trying to push the whole human experience into adherence with a linguistic coherence. Then again, words may be imperfect, but they are how we as creatures work. And we do have a language to talk about love. So for you, I will try to put up with this stuff if you'll put up with me and you won't make me rush. So thank you for giving me the time to get my mind around these words, to find their worth as signs to which I can attach my own meaning. And maybe I'll learn to use this language, but choose my own interpreter in you. Thank you for not saying I love you. Sometimes actions speak louder than words, so I just want to tell you, I've heard. And I really like you too. Thanks. Thank you one more time to Patrick for organising this evening, because it's been absolutely amazing.
Well, I want to say, I think it's appropriate to say thank you to Chloe, but before we say that properly, I also want to thank all the great people who read from the floor tonight. So they were Barbara O'Donnell, Sam Garden, Maya Owen, Dominic Luna, Andy V. Frost, Leo Garza, Gareth Kegg, Gillespie Robertson, Lantern Carrier. Big round of applause. All very fine poets. And now the featured poets tonight, Patrick Cunane, he's somewhere over here, Tim Waller and Chloe Orrock. So that's the end of tonight's show. If you'd like to leave your email, we'll keep you informed of future evenings, but just give yourself a round of applause because you've been great. Thank you, good night.
Thank you.